Ty, thank you. The Department of Economic Opportunity says it's processed more than 3.2 million claims for unemployment assistance since mid-March, paying out more than $12.8 billion in benefits. But the process to get that money has been frustrating for many. Governor Ron DeSantis told CBS 4's Jim DeFede that the state's unemployment system was built with, quote, pointless roadblocks to pay out the least number of claims.
Tonight, his comment about the system built under then-Governor Rick Scott is prompting a response from the Republican senator. Jim joins us now with what Senator Scott had to say. Jim?
Elliot, you know, this was a little bit of back and forth between these two men, and what was interesting was just how this is going to play out in the future. But before we get to Rick Scott's comments, let's just take a moment and remind folks exactly what he said, what the governor said, what Governor Ron DeSantis said when I sat down with him on Monday, and I asked him a question about the website that so many people had trouble with being able to get their benefits. Here's what the governor had to say on Monday. Do you believe that the system was in part put together the way it was to discourage people from being able to collect unemployment?
I think that was the animating philosophy. I mean, having studied how it was internally constructed, I think the goal was, for whoever designed it, was let's put as many kind of pointless roadblocks along the way so people just say, oh, the hell with it, I'm not going to do that. But I think definitely in terms of how it was internally constructed, you know, it was definitely done in a way to lead to the least number of claims being paid out.
Now, of course, this led to a huge kerfuffle because, I mean, just think about it for a second. The governor admitting that the website designed to help people was actually hurting them, was actually keeping people from being able to get access to the money that they desperately needed from the insurance, unemployment insurance that they paid into in the state of Florida. So that's just a terrible thing right there. So the governor, you know, never said that Rick Scott was personally responsible when I asked him. He backed away from that a little bit. He acknowledged that it was under the Scott administration, but wouldn't blame Scott directly. Well, reporters in Washington caught up to Rick Scott today, and he made it clear that he's not happy with whatever the governor said. Let's play that sound now.
It's tough to be you know, in politics, you know, some people, you know, they take responsibility. Some people just blame others. This is a tough time to be a governor. You know, there's no unemployment system in the country that's set up for this unprecedented number of new people applying for unemployment, then the $600, and then adding the gig workers. And so, you know, I know Ken Lawson was responsible for it when it started, and I know he was working hard.
So, Jim, he said some people blame others, but then he went on to mention Ken Lawson. Remind us about the history between Scott and DeSantis here.
They have never really gotten along. Rick Scott had a different person in mind wanting to run for governor. So these two men have been at odds for a while. There has also been talk that they are somewhat competitive because both may want to run for president or have those presidential aspirations in 2024. I'll tell you that when I asked Governor DeSantis that question, he denied it. But still, the tension between these two men, it's no secret that they don't like each other.
Okay, Jim, so it's clear that the system doesn't work as effectively as it could. It's certainly flawed. No matter who is to blame here, let's look forward. What can be done to fix it? What are lawmakers saying at this point?
Well, there are a number of lawmakers who are suggesting that there should be a special session called to deal with a number of issues regarding unemployment, not just making sure that those who are still owed money because of the problems of the website are made whole, but also raising the amount of money that the state of Florida pays. The state of Florida caps its benefit at $275, and with Congress still deadlocked over whether or not they're going to give $600, you have a lot of people trying to barely, you know, eke out a living at this point on $275 a week at most. You can't live on that in Florida. I don't care where in the state you are. Now, there is one postscript to this story which is fascinating to me. So over the last couple of days, as we've been focusing on what Governor DeSantis said about the state website, which was implemented, put together by Deloitte and Touche, the accounting company, you know, one of the things that we just learned is that Governor DeSantis, while critical of Deloitte, just is ready to award them a $135 million state contract, a new contract, to basically overhaul and take charge of the state's Medicaid data information website. So that's, you know, there's going to be a lot to sort of suss out with that, because that's a real problem. You already have some lawmakers saying this is crazy, that Deloitte was a problem for the unemployment website. Why would we put them in charge of the Medicaid data information storage as well?
Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Jim DeFede, thank you very much.